Good morning, children. This week we're going to have another look at multiplication. We're going to go back to the work we were doing just before the school closed. We're going to recap and then we're going to have a little bit of practice time. So, if you remember, we started off by looking at two-digit numbers multiplied by two-digit numbers and representing them as a grid using our base 10. And so we ended up saying, here I have 21 and here I have 14. And we said 10 times 10 is 100. 10 times 10 is 100. 10 times 1 is 10. And we did the same for the next set of numbers. 1 times 10 is 10. 1 times 10 is 10. 1 times 1 is 1. We did that until we'd finished our numbers. And then to work out what 21 multiplied by 14 is, we worked on the first row. So the first row here, that's 200, and that's 10. And here I've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 80, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 84. And if we add them up going across, 210, and I've got 84. And so if I add those together, 4 and 0 is 4, 1 and 8 is 9 and 2. So 21 times 14 is 294. That's the method we were practicing. So let's have a look at this one. Now, you're going to need a pen or a pencil and some paper. If you haven't got one with you now, pause the video before we carry on and go and get one. Okay, so let's look at this. It says, Kim is using base 10 to work out 31 times 22. And you can see I've got 31 here and I've got 22 here. Use Kim's model to help you complete the sentences. So it says, there are some ones. How many ones are there? There are some tens. How many tens are there? There are some hundreds. How many hundreds are there? And what does the calculation come to altogether? So pause the video and have a go. Okay, so there were, I'll just squeeze these numbers in, there were two ones. There were two ones. How many tens? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There were 8 tens. And how many hundreds? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There were 6 hundreds. So 31 multiplied by 22 was 600. And 82. And we might do it this way. I might draw a line there to help me out, and I might say I've got 660, and underneath my line I've got 22, and I can add them up, which gives me 682. Okay, have a go at this next one. It says, Amir is using base 10 to calculate 31 times 24. Oh, we've done that already, haven't we? It says, I don't think we have done that already, have we? That's a different calculation. That was 31 times 22. This is 31 times 24. Okay, Amir is using base 10 to calculate 31 times 24. Add the missing information to the area model using the base 10 and then complete the sentences. And then you've got another job to do here. It says describe any exchanges you need to make and then complete the multiplication. Pause the video and have a go. Okay, let's have a look. I can see 24 up here. So that number in there is 20. And that number in there is 4. And I can see 30, and I can see 1 there. Let's check. 31 is there, 24 is there. Okay, so how many 1s are there? I can see them here. There are 4 1s. How many 10s are there all together? 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12, 13, 14. Let's check that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There are 14 10s altogether. Now, because there are 14 10s, I think I've got 100 there, but I'll come back to that in a minute. How many hundreds have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 hundreds. Okay. Describe any exchanges you need to make. Well, I can see I've got 14 10s there, which means that actually I've got 700 and I've got 40. I've exchanged my 10 there and I've got 4. So the answer to my calculation is 744. But actually, again, if I just draw a line in there, I'm going to think about adding it this way as well. So here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that there is 100. So on this row here, I've got 720. I've got 600 there. I've got 100 there. And I've got 20 there, 720. And along this row here, I've got 24. And if I were to add those up, 4, 4, 7. Okay, so a little bit of practice for you now. You can draw your base 10 in, but I'd like you to have a go at these two multiplications using an area model. So if I was to draw the first one in, I would do 25 and I would have 15. Okay, and I would do 10 times 10 is 100, 10 times 10 is 100, 10 times 10 is 100, 10 times 1 is 10, and so on. So using a base 10 method, can you try and answer the calculations to these two questions? Pause the video and have a little go. Okay, so for our first one, 25 times 15 was 375. And for our second one, 36 times 12 was 432. So it says here that Rosie adapts her base 10 method to calculate 44 times 32. So instead of using place value counters or base 10 equipment, she's now just used the numbers in there to help her. And she said 30 times 40 is 1,200. 30 times 4 is 120. 2 times 40 is 80. And 2 times 4 is 8. And if we wanted to work out the answer to the question, then we would add them across. So 1,200 add 120 is 1,320. And 80 add 8 is 88. And then we could add those two up. 8, 10, 4 and 1. 1408. Okay, so I've got here the same calculation written using base 10 equipment and using place value counters. Your job is to work out my calculation and work out the answer. So I'm going to give you a minute or two just to get that job done for me. Pause the video and have a go. Okay, so let's have a look how we got on. I can see 22 there and I can see 22 there. I can see 23, 23. So I believe my calculation must have been 22 multiplied by 23. Now, let's look at this first row here. I've got 410. And if I put my little line in there, okay, I've got 410. So on my first row, I had 410. And on my next row, I've got 66. Have I got 66 here? Yeah, 66. I've got 66. When I add them together, I'm going to get 6, 7, 4. So my answer was 476. Well done if you got that. Okay, so you've got a place value grid to help you here. You've got a multiplication grid to help you here. You don't need to use the place value counters if you choose not to. You can simply write in the numbers, or you can draw the grids and put in the place value counters. Your job is to work out the answer to the two calculations up here. So pause the video and have a go, and we'll start the video again in a moment. Okay, so I'm hoping that for this one here, you were able to say that that was 20 and that was 5. That was, squeeze it in, 30 and that was 2. 20 times 30 is 600. 30 times 5 is 150. 20 times 2 is 20 times 2 is 40 and 2 times 5 is 10. When we add those across, we should get to 800. And I can see my 800 here. I've got 750, add 50, 800. So similarly with this one, we should have had 35 and 32 and fill in your gaps, and it should have left you with 1120. Okay, children, that is all the practice for today. Tomorrow, we're going to move on one more step.